What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICAV Drives Edition. Today's topic is very interesting. I'm still out in North Carolina and I just got back from having dinner, and somebody told me the Corvette C8 was a disappointment. So I want to get into it. Do you think the Corvette C8 is a disappointment? Let's talk about it. So this was one of those moments whereas I wish I could have had the camera rolling, because when I explain this to you, I'm not going to give it no justice or the same passion that he had. But then again, at the same point in time, I feel like it's almost like the Lebron and Jordan argument. It's like no matter what you say or what some people hear, they're going to believe what they want to believe, whether it's Jordan's the best or LeBron's the best. And I felt like this was kind of the same path we was traveling down, or should I say the same rabbit hole we were going down in this conversation about, is the C8 a disappointment? In my eyes, I don't think it is. In his eyes, he has some reasons why he think it really is a disappointment. And I feel like it's more passion and upsetness about a situation that happened to him than it truly is about the lack of performance and the issues that's going on with the car. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's get into this topic really quick. I was told at a restaurant, I was having dinner, that the Corvette C8 has been a disappointment. Let's rewind it a little bit and I'll get right into it. So what actually happened was, I was out having dinner, Zedek Bar, not gonna say the restaurant. I'm still in North Carolina for the moment. So I was out eating, having dinner. This guy pulled up in a beautiful C6 Corvette. And I complimented him on his Corvette. Like, hey man, that's a nice car. You know, showed him some respect and some love. Then he mentioned to me that he was kind of hesitant on pulling the trigger on the C8 because he actually said he liked the new C8. And he was thinking about upgrading from a C6 to the C8. He didn't see the purpose with a C7, which my eyes, hey, let's be real. The C6 is what drew me into the Corvette market. The C7 was the Corvette I had to have. And when I found out they was releasing the C8, no hands down, I knew I was going to own one. So for me, the C7 was the had to have. And then I had to get the C8. But he said his C6 to C7 wasn't a big enough difference for him to upgrade. So that was the decision he made. That was how short our conversation was, because I just pretty much told him, hey, I have a C8. Check out my YouTube channel. I think I have some fairly decent content on the C8, and you may be surprised. So he said he would. So hopefully he's watching this video because you inspired this one. So when I got done talking to him, another guy overheard me at the bar, because I was talking to him at the bar as he was transitioning. He was waiting to get a seat. And this guy told me that the C8 had been a disappointment. And so I'm like, really? Because I don't agree. But who am I to be the determining factor whether or not the C8 has actually been a disappointment? So please tell me why you think so. And in our conversation, he brought up some points that I probably hadn't thought about. And what do I mean by some points I hadn't thought about? He explained to me that he had been on a waiting list for well over 13 months before he finally got to put in an order for a C8. And when he finally got to put his order in for a C8, guess what? They had several restraints, and one of them just happened to be the magnetic rod. So he told his dealer that when he placed his order and submitted it, there wasn't a constraint on magnetic rod. By the time they got to build his car, there was a constraint on magnetic rod. So he asked his dealer that he was working with, can he transition, or let's just be real, can he give up his order to somebody that doesn't want a C8 with magnetic rod? And then when magnetic rod comes off constraint, can he submit his order? His dealer told him no. So that opened up a situation whereas he didn't know what to do with his C8. Now, this is kind of after the fact. So like I told him, I would have just built the car, sold it, and then went out and bought a C8 with magnetic ride. But I never looked at it like some people do. He said he wanted to build his own car. He wanted to have his own name on the plate inside the car, and he wanted his car to be a one-owner vehicle. That's kind of unique and rare. I'm not going to argue, and that's probably a great idea. So by him not being able to build it and customize it the way he wants, to him, it was a waste. So he said he ended up giving up his spot, which I don't understand why, but to each his own. And he kind of washed his hand with the C8s. He said he'll wait for all the hype to die down where he can just go in and get one, where he can order one quicker on a smaller and a less turnaround. So with that being said, I kind of suggested a couple other dealers to him that were out of state, but he's from Ohio. His name is Mike. So Mike, I'm telling this story because you said you was going to tune in. So please comment in the comments below if you want, but this one's about you, man. So my friend Mike, well, I'm gonna call him my friend now because when you having beers and having a conversation all night, you make a friendship. So Mike, I told Mike that there are still some places out there you can possibly get a C8 within like a 6 to 8 month turnaround. That's not that bad of a wait if you ask me, but then again, you can explain it better. Mike said he waited 13 months to submit an order. His order was finally taken. By the time he would have actually seen his car, the estimation was it would have been 16 months of waiting to get this car. That's a long time for waiting. And then by him saying no because he felt like he was being strong-armed into getting a vehicle he didn't want, now the idea of waiting another possible 8 months to place an order and then the timeline for it to get built, this man would have been waiting well over 2 years to get a C8. And that's why a lot of people choose to purchase one on the used market and pay a little bit more money. But not Mike. And I'll just be honest with you. I'm proud of you for the stance you took. I don't know if I could have took it, but you took it, and to each his own. So in Mike's eyes, all the constraints, the setbacks, the lack of production, and so forth when it comes to the C8, to him, that makes it a big disappointment. Let's take a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe. Like the video if you haven't done it already. If you need to watch some more before you give it a thumbs up, I completely understand. But please share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel. We talk about all type of information when it comes to dealing with cars. And I think it's a fun channel to enjoy and see some content from. So please subscribe to the channel. By the way, if you haven't heard, again, the ICNV Driver's Edition $250 gas card giveaway. Gas prices are going up and you shouldn't have to make life-changing decisions while you're sitting at the pump. So we're trying to help out with that. Buy a raffle ticket, enter to win $250 and free gas gift cards. You can also participate in this by going to the website and buying some merchandise between May 2nd and July 15th. And for every $5 you spend, it will be matched off with the same equivalence you would get if you bought raffle tickets. So check it out. There's a link in the description below. We're giving away $250 in gas cards. So you can purchase a raffle ticket on your own, or you can get some merch. But either way, you will be entered to win. Let's get back to the video. Now, some of the things that he actually brought up was, one, I feel like it was more hearsay evidence because he never actually had a chance to get a car. So when you bring up topics like the radiator grills, GM did bad R&D when it came to the vehicle because they didn't put radiator grills on it. The side air intakes was still open, so rocks could get through and cause damage on the side air intakes. When you sit down and complain about the wheel concept, it's actually the wheel concepts or designs that they offered the first couple of years. I can understand you being upset about them, but does that really mean that the Corvette C8 is a disappointment? I don't kind of agree with that one. Another thing he sat there and said was he was kind of disappointed in the high-end power. For those of you that know, and I've talked about this before, but we'll get into it in another video, is that the Corvette has a lot of low-end power, a lot of low-end torque. What really truly separates it from most supercars is once you cross that 80-mile-per-hour range, that high-end power up into like 140, and don't ask me how I know, but the high-end power up into 140 is just really not there. And that's where most true supercars pull away. But then again, most true supercars, I'm not going to say it's a true statement, but a lot of supercars have turbos and superchargers and things of that nature on them, which for honest performance-wise, that's truthfully where the benefit of a supercharger comes in, is that mid-range power. So I'm sure GM will address that with later versions of the car. And I don't know why so many people are very critical of the C8, especially the base C8, as being like it's supposed to be a supercar killer. That wasn't what it was designed for. Another complaint he had about the Corvette C8 was that he didn't believe that when they should have went hardtop convertible. He felt like they should have stayed soft top and still gave you a way to see the engine like Ferrari did in the past. And I think that was the F30. So he wanted something along those concepts. To him, he didn't want to sacrifice viewing the engine to have a convertible. And I know a lot of you guys are going to sit there and say, that's why the coupe is a target, you take the top off and so forth. But then in the grand scheme of things, I can understand this complaint too, because he wants his cakes, his cookies, and everything. He wanted it all. So in essence, he wanted to be a convertible. He wanted to have his trunk space, and he wanted to see the engine. So he wanted all three, which usually, at least right now, you have to give up one. And so they sacrificed the engine. Myself personally, I had no plans on cleaning the engine. So me sacrificing looking at the engine for a hardtop convertible wasn't even a hard decision. Another thing he complained about when he said the Corvette C8 was a disappointment, and I know I've heard this from several people, so I don't agree with it, but a lot of people feel like this, is the lack of a manual option. He really said, in his grand scheme of things, he wants a manual. He feels like a manual is the only way to get the true performance out of any car, and that by them not offering a manual, they're pretty much insulting people or saying that they can't drive fast enough or shift, that their driving skills isn't up to par. And yeah, I don't really buy into that one, but I do get it. Some people like the feel of a manual transmission, and they like the control of a manual transmission. I can go either way. I'm not a must-have or a must-not-have. He felt like them not having a manual transmission was a huge disappointment for him. And then his final comment was that 490 horsepower is okay. 495 is great. But if you were going to dance right by the 500 horsepower mark, why not just cross it? And I'm not going to lie to you. That's one thing I thought about too, and I've said so many times before. But at this point, there are some very cost-friendly aftermarket adjustments you can make that'll get you across that 500 mark. But I can agree with that one too, is that in the grand scheme of things, but you took a respectable leap from 460 horsepower to 495. So 35 horsepower jump is not really bad, especially when you look at the fact that most supercars will do something like they will bump from 612 to 630 in their all-out max performance mode. So the jump you made from base to base was very comfortable, I would say. It's enough to make people say, yes, I will get it. But I do agree with him on that nature. I feel like at this point in time, 500 should be the floor, not the ceiling. So they should have came across and gave us 500 horsepower. But even with them not giving us 500 horsepower, this car is still more car than most people can handle. So I don't have any complaints on that. But these are the reasons why he told me that he felt the C8 was a disappointment. You guys let me know. So performance-wise, it hasn't been a disappointment, and I was going to say that's what I was looking at. So for everybody out there, yes, the 0-60 times, not a disappointment. The actual quality of the leather when you step up to a 3LT, But I'm gonna be honest with you, the 2LT interior is not that bad. But if you want the premium leather, the 3LT, for those who like premium soft leather, no complaints here. The total redesign and the mid-engine platform added, no complaints here. To me, Chevy didn't drop the ball with this base car, and it's actually more car than most people need. And I will say that again, it's more car than most people need. So to me, there is no disappointment when you look to own a C8. And so in my eyes, when you look at the performance and everything you get for the price range, even if you end up paying 10, 15 grand over MSRP, and I know people don't want to talk about that, so we won't, but it's still not a bad deal for what you're getting out this car. This car to me has exceeded everybody's expectations, and only to the people that want to compare it to like a Lamborghini and some Ferraris can you truly find complaints about this vehicle. But for the dollar range, for what you're getting and how it stands up to most entry-level supercars, and I say that again, how it compares and stands up to most entry-level supercars, even if it's the worst supercar on the market as a base C8, it's still an impressive vehicle, and it contends and competes with them all. So no disappointments there. So just really quick, I was dropping this video just to share that comment, and I want to get some thoughts from you guys. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think the C8 has been a big disappointment? I understand the lack of bills, the constraints, the setbacks, the closure of the Corvette plant. It goes on and on and on. The list does not change. And yes, I can get it. There can be some really discouraging, heartbreaking moments through the chase of owning a C8, let alone trying to become the owner of a Z06. So when he says setbacks and so forth, when will it stop? So many people keep coming out with information saying, oh, we're past the low points with the production, the part shortages is out the window. And it seems like every time somebody says that, another setback comes. And like I said before, which is kind of crazy because we're entering, I believe, the last week or two of Corvette production. And if they cross 26,000 cars, I will be surprised, but I don't see them getting past 26,000 cars. I don't see them making the same amount of Corvettes or more than they made for 2021. So let me know what your thoughts are. But there are several people that are still disappointed that they can't go out and get a brand new Corvette for MSRP, ordering, or things of that nature. But these are the reasons why he told me that he felt the C8 was a disappointment. You guys let me know. What do you think? Do you think it's a disappointment? Do you think this was a waste of a conversation? You be the judge. ICMV Drives Edition. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, share the video. It's a hot topic. Let me know if you think the Corvette is a disappointment. I know I don't, but I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you in these streets. Until then, peace.